Okay, so you sent in Amapiano as a topic, and wow, you really nailed the timing on this one.
It really is having a moment, isn't it?
Huge right now.
It's everywhere.
But what's cool is like looking at the stuff you sent, the articles, the videos, it's like way more than just a catchy sound.
Yeah, it's like a whole cultural thing.
It is. It's like global tension, critiques of how the industry works. Like it's pretty deep stuff.
Yeah.
So we've got like these YouTube videos where people are like really passionate about this.
Mm,
There are articles that, trace it back, going way back to South Africa,
that's roots.
and even like the Southern African Music Rights Organization.
Yeah. Samro.
Samro, they weighed in too.
They did. They did. They had some thoughts, that's for sure.
So think of this as like your crash course,
Mm-hmm.
not just like what it sounds like, but
Oh,
like
yeah.
what it
Like
represents. Yeah.
the meaning behind the music.
So, all right, for anybody who's been, living under a rock,
Mm.
what is this sound? Like when I'm listening to these tracks you sent, I'm hearing like deep house, some jazz, even some like loungy vibes in there.
Yeah.
But that log drum, that's like
That's the signature.
from Amapiano's thing.
That's it. You got it.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. That's the Amapiano sound.
All right, so I'm getting the elements, but like from these sources, it's kind of fuzzy on like exactly where and when this all started.
Right.
Early 2010s, South Africa, we know that, right?
That's what everyone seems to agree
Yeah,
on.
but there's not one inventor that everybody points to.
No, not really.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets interesting, right? Like, unlike a lot of Western genres where it's like, who's the one person that made this? Who's the hit maker? Amapiano is a lot more
Yeah.
organic. It's like a wave, a cultural wave. And it's a bunch of people writing it.
Okay, so I'm seeing names like DJ Stokey, MFR Souls,
Those are big ones.
Cubs at a Small, DJ Mafariza.
You're looking at the I don't know, the foundation almost.
Right.
But it's interesting like, how they're referred to.
Yeah, it's all like Kings, Superman.
Things that yeah, but it's not like, oh, this one person invented it. It's more like these are the people who
rode the wave.
rode that wave, yeah, and pushed it forward, this community evolution idea.
Okay, hold on. Community evolution. Am I picturing like a utopia here?
I mean, it's not a perfect utopia, but
Are we saying there's like no competition between Amapiano artists?
no, there's definitely competition. I mean, that's the music industry.
Okay.
But I think what sets Amapiano apart is this culture of sharing knowledge and collaborating.
Mm.
You know, like there's a sense of pushing the sound forward together, even if they are, kind of vying for that top spot.
Okay, so not total utopia, but
It's
definitely
a different vibe.
different than like the cutthroat, you know?
The Western music scene.
Exactly.
It's got its own thing going on.
Yeah, but speaking of competition, like how did this South African sound end up on everyone's like TikTok and playlists and like everywhere all of a sudden? I mean, the sources really highlight social media and how big of a role it's played, especially these videos, right? You see all these dance challenges, these viral videos. That's really what fueled it.
I mean, I knew TikTok was big, but I'm like looking through here and I'm seeing like all these challenges.
Oh, yeah.
Even Ciara doing the Yayupia challenge by Uncle Waffles.
Exactly.
Like, wow, the dance element is huge in like pushing this past South Africa.
Yeah, and I think that's key because it's so dance driven and not as reliant on lyrics.
Yeah.
It can bypass the language barrier in a way other genres can't. It's like it speaks to the body, that urge to move. You combine that with social media
Oh, yeah?
and like the reach it has, and it's like a recipe for like global takeover.
So perfect storm, right sound, right time, internet amplifies it.
Pretty much. But hold on. One of these videos you sent had like a pretty harsh critique of how Amapiano artists are handling this whole like global fame thing.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, it even said something about South African artists looking like pastors.
Yeah, it was a little blunt.
It was blunt.
But it's a perspective, right?
Yeah.
And it's arguing that while the music is great, the lack of like strong visuals, strong branding, that's letting artists from other places, especially Nigeria,
Yeah,
capitalize on that popularity. Yeah,
I get that branding matters today,
it does.
but like there's something to be said for that. Like raw.
Organic, that realness.
Yeah, like does it have to be all slick and commercial to like really succeed globally?
It's a good question. It's a complex one because on one hand, yeah, visuals and branding, they can help an artist stand out.
Right.
But on the other hand, you risk losing what makes Amapiano special.
Yeah.
That authentic feel.
It does.
So it raises the question, like, what does success even look like for Amapiano?
That's a good point.
Is it fame and fortune, or is there a different path?
That ties into something I found really powerful in this Dazed article. They called Amapiano the sound of Black youths escaping colonial and apartheid ghosts.
Wow.
That's heavy, but like, what does it mean if you don't know much about South Africa?
It's crucial to understand, like, that Amapiano is born out of a specific time and place,
Hmm.
a country that's dealing with the legacies of, colonialism and apartheid.
Yeah.
And Amapiano, it embodies that spirit of a generation that's, like, trying to reclaim joy and create something new.
So like celebrating life,
Yes.
but also acknowledging the weight of history.
It's both, and that's why it resonates, It's not just escapism, it's like resilience.
Yeah.
It's finding hope,
Yeah.
expressing identity in a world that's tried to silence those voices.
This is already more than just music. We're talking about like cultural identity, like global power dynamics. This is getting intense.
It is. It really gets to the heart of, like, music culture and who gets to control the narrative. And we're just getting started.
This is going to be good, but before we get too deep, let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsor. Okay, we're back, and I'm like still processing everything we've talked about with Amapiano so far.
It's a lot to unpack, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not just a genre. It's like this window into a whole culture, a generation dealing with history, but like also forging their own path, you
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely. And one of the things that really stood out to me from all the sources was this idea of Amapiano being a platform for young South African artists to really shine on a global stage.
Yeah.
The Samro article especially highlighted this, showcasing South Africa's rich cultural heritage to the world.
You know, it's funny. Before this, I'd mostly heard Amapiano like in clubs, playlists.
Yeah.
But I'm realizing there's this whole layer of cultural significance I was missing. Like the music's a bridge between generations and cultures.
It really is, and it's a powerful example of how music can be a force for cultural exchange. Understand, especially in a country like South Africa, with its history and the social challenges it still faces.
Right.
Amapiano offers this space for young people to express themselves, connect with their heritage,
Yeah.
and just, like, imagine new possibilities.
Okay, but here's what I'm wrestling with. Like, on one hand, you have this amazing DIY collaborative spirit at the heart of Amapiano. But then on the other hand, it's navigating this increasingly commercialized, globalized music industry.
Right.
How do those two worlds even coexist?
It's a tough question, and it's something a lot of artists and genres grapple with, right?
Yeah.
Staying true to their roots, but also adapting to, like, the mainstream demands. It's that age-old artistic integrity versus commercial success.
Yeah.
It's a tightrope walk.
And then you bring in that critique, right, about Nigerian artists stealing the shine.
Yeah.
Like, it gets even more complicated.
Get us.
So maybe instead of thinking about it as like one nation owning the sound, Amapiano's strength is that it can evolve, adapt, be reinterpreted, remixed across cultures.
I think that's a brilliant point because it's so fluid,
Yeah.
and willing to embrace collaboration and influences from different cultures.
Yeah.
That could be what helps it thrive in this global music scene. It's not about boundaries.
Right.
It's about a shared energy, a rhythmic conversation that goes beyond borders.
That's a beautiful way to put it, like a musical dialogue.
Exactly.
Each artist, each region adding their own voice to the mix. And speaking of voices, we got to talk about that log drum.
Ah, yes.
So distinctive, it's almost hypnotic, like it's the heartbeat of Amapiano.
The heartbeat. I love that. And you're right, that log drum or Capon logo.
Okay.
It's so evocative, and it speaks to that deep connection to African rhythms and traditions. It has roots in West African music, and bringing it into Amapiano, it just adds this amazing layer of, like, cultural depth.
And remember that Soundtrap article?
Yeah.
They're making Amapiano sound packs available to like anybody who wants to produce. So now anyone feeling inspired can just jump in and start experimenting with those signature sounds.
That's what's so exciting about this time in music, right?
Yeah.
Like, Amapiano came from the streets, from this grassroots movement of producers and DJs. And now, with technology, those tools are more accessible than ever.
It's like Amapiano saying, hey, come join the party. Doesn't matter where you're from, what your background is.
Exactly.
It's not about exclusivity. It's about like shared creativity, the joy of making music together.
Such a powerful message, especially in today's world, where we often feel divided, disconnected.
Yeah.
Amapiano reminds us of that power music has to bring people together, to
Hmm.
create that sense of community, shared experience. It's a reminder that rhythm and groove can transcend language, culture,
Hmm.
even geography.
Wow, we've covered so much ground here.
We have.
From the origins, the global spread, to the cultural significance, the challenges, it's clear Amapiano is way more than just a catchy beat.
Oh, absolutely. It's a cultural phenomenon, a movement challenging norms, redefining what it means to be a global artist in the 21st century.
Before we wrap up, I'm curious, what really stood out to you from all this?
You know, honestly, that YouTube video critiquing the branding and visuals, that really stuck with me.
Hmm.
It's a stark reminder that even as Amapiano gets global recognition, there are still these questions about representation, ownership, and who benefits from its success.
Yeah, that's so true. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement, but we can't forget about those power dynamics at play.
Exactly. Amapiano sparks joy,
Mm.
celebration, but it also carries a history of struggle, resilience, this desire for recognition.
Yeah.
It reminds us that music can be both deeply personal and profoundly political.
Hmm.
And that's what makes it so powerful.
This has been such an amazing conversation.
It really has.
And I feel like we've only scratched the surface.
There's always more to explore, but for now, let's shift gears, bring it back to you, the listener.
Okay.
What does this all mean for you?
Ah.
Why should you care about Amapiano?
So we've gone deep on the history, the rise, even the potential downsides of Amapiano's success.
Hmm.
But now I want to bring it back to you, the listener. What does this all mean if you're just starting to check out this sound?
I think that's the question, right? Like, why does this matter?
Exactly. Yeah. Convince me. Why should I care beyond just enjoying the beat?
Well, first off, it's a living example of how cultural exchange can create something really, truly special.
Hmm.
Like, it reminds us that creativity doesn't have borders.
Okay.
Amazing things can come from unexpected places.
Yeah, that's cool, but kind of abstract.
Okay, fair enough. Let's get concrete then. Think
Mm.
about where it comes from.
Mm.
Post-apartheid South Africa,
Hmm.
that context is built into the music.
Right.
It's a story of resilience, finding joy and hope, even when things are tough.
Yeah.
That's something everyone can relate to, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And then you add that layer of meaning to the music, and it's like, whoa,
Yeah, you appreciate it differently.
completely different level. And then there's the way it challenges the whole music industry, right? It's not about the one superstar.
Hmm.
It's about a community pushing a sound forward together.
Yeah.
In a world that's obsessed with fame, that's pretty refreshing.
I'm seeing why this deep dive was important. I went from knowing a few songs to understanding a whole movement.
It's a journey, isn't it?
It is.
And let's not forget, Amapiano is F-U-N.
It is.
It makes you want to move, connect, celebrate.
Yeah.
And in a world that could be, pretty heavy sometimes,
Yeah.
that's powerful stuff.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'm a piano believer right here.
Glad to hear it.
So takeaway for the listener, what do we want them to do with this?
Easy. Go explore it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just passively listen. Really dive in, watch those videos, try to learn the dances,
Mm-hmm.
even try making some beats if you're feeling bold.
You heard it here first, homework assigned.
There you go.
But no, seriously, engage with the culture, join the conversation, let Amapiano move you.
Who knows? You might just find your new favorite sound.
And on that note, that's a wrap on our deep dive into Amapiano.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you learned a ton, but also caught a bit of that energy.
That good energy.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and until next time, keep the music playing.